certified nurse's assistant, and I was cleaning up an old woman one time. I know too much information for me, and I lived through it. But I was cleaning up, down in her nether portal, and that they told me she was comatose, that she was gone. There was no, she wasn't gonna wake up on me. Gotcha. And for some odd reason, it's okay for guys to clean a woman if they're, unconscious. Whatever. Anyways, I don't understand it, but I was told to go clean her up, so I did my job. I went in there, I was cleaning her, and you have to part and wipe. And when I did that, she came up out of the bed, sat bolt upright, said, "Get your hand out of my pocketbook." It was awkward.
Oh, that's
to say the least.
Bad. So I want to call with your hand in the cookie jar.
Yep. In hindsight, I wanted to say sorry, just looking for change. But it didn't happen that way.
Wow. Did she stay awake or did she lay back down?
Oh, she was quite awake. That was her wake up call. Obviously, that was the one thing she couldn't hack. Like, why is this fat man fumbling with my new
her pocketbook?
Yeah, pocketbook. Like I said, I was just looking for change. My bad. I mean, car wrecks. I don't like car wrecks, but I'm like, the rest of humanity. You see a car wreck, it's just like, ooh, is that a foot? No. Very, very disturbing.
Yeah.
Did you happen to look up any weird shit on the internet?
I did look up some weird shit on the internet.
Really? Nice.
Yes. I had to. I didn't get far. I got to an article about a couple.
Okay.
It's a lovely man and woman. They were both. I guess you would consider them to be sort of like hippies. They were white couple, long dreads, dirty clothes. I could smell them through the computer, kind of thing.
Ooh.
But
from under cheese.
Yeah. So they were talking about the birth of their child, right? Because the woman was pregnant. They had decided to forego any and all medical attention. In its place, they're going to use a dolphin as a midwife.
Like fucking Flipper?
Like Flipper. Yeah. They're going to go. There's this institute or whatever in Hawaii, and they actually have people that come in and you go there a little early, you get to know the dolphins, you swim with them, you try to become part of the pod, and then when it's time to give birth, you give birth in the water with dolphins.
Now, I dig water births. I can see that, but what's the dolphin doing? Is it like
I don't know.
Is it almost like, does it do the narcotic effect thing?
Apparently it's supposed to be like with the water birth, it's supposed to be less stressful for the baby. Apparently the dolphins make it a more pleasant environment as well as less stressful.
I'm hoping that there's some kind of barrier and like sharks and shit aren't going to come up and snatch the baby.
It's in a pool.
It's a boy. Dum dum.
Yeah.
Dum dum.
No, it's in a pool, not out in the wild ocean.
Okay, I was about to say, I just see fucking Jaws coming and just snacking on Flipper and the mother, because there's blood in the water. I'm sorry, I don't care, if there's no ripping or anything. I've had 2 kids, even if there's no ripping.
Some crusty old boat captain. There's blood in the water.
After birth. That just doesn't seem safe to me. I mean, and I don't know, all the bacteria. Well, you said pool, but dolphins shit in those things.
Exactly.
I mean, do they go into a clean pool?
I don't know.
Or do they go into the actual dolphin pool?
How clean can it be? I mean, all the chemicals and stuff in the pools that we swim in have to be bad for dolphins.
That's another thing, the chemicals in the pool. And what about those? Your baby's going to come out bleached.
Why do all these kids get me vitiligo? I don't know. But yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah. Oh my God, you managed to sneak in a Michael Jackson joke. That's awesome. And, I'm crying, dude. I'm crying.
Oh, yeah,
Revitiligo, to those listeners and watchers that do not know, is what Michael Jackson claimed that he had. He didn't actually bleach his skin. He had a disease, and that, not for me to judge. Maybe he did. I don't know, but he got white all of a sudden. It wasn't
yeah,
like he was
yeah. He
splotchy
was.
for a little while. He was black. Oh, so he was brown, and then he was white.
Yeah.
And he wasn't white like you know this white, not pink. He was
Mm,
white,
he was
like
white.
this shirt. Anyways, you guys know. My rest is whatever. Uh, Anything else you want to talk about, Lynn?
Um, hmm. That's a good question.
Just a question. I don't know if it's good
Just
or
a
not.
question. It,
Just a
it is
question.
a good question.
Okay.
Sure. I don't know. We could talk
Oh,
about some Joe Hill a little, maybe.
oh, Joe Hill. Um,
Yeah.
I still haven't. I'm listening to the audiobook. I'm hopping back and forth between the audiobook with Nosferatu and the actual Kindle
Hmm.
edition. I have all three. I have hardcover. I got all of it.
Oh wow.
I'm still only about 17% in. The book is long, but it's not long, and I say that I say that because he writes so quick.
Yeah.
There's a lot of story in the book, and it's not a bunch of filler. It's not, Stephen King taking 3 pages to describe somebody opening up a stick of bubble gum. And don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, love Stephen King. Stephen King is my favorite author of all time, but the man's verbose as hell. There's really no getting around it.
No.
I have recently introduced Linton to Joe Hill, and
Wonderful, man. It's a great
yeah,
time. We
go ahead.
sat down, had coffee and tea, and
Go,
uh,
go ahead and tell him what you thought of
oh,
horns and all that.
yeah, yeah. So, quick question first. Are you using the Kindle, the whole sync audio with
Yeah,
the
the
book
Whisper Sync.
deal? Yeah, the Whisper Sync with the audio and the book.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really quite helpful instead of having to go through with the oh, by the way, the audiobook is only 12.99 on Audible. If you guys have Audible accounts, it's only 1 credit. If you don't,
Oh
it's
wow,
only 12.99 for a freaking audiobook. It's cheaper
that's
than
awesome.
it's cheaper than the hardcover, and it's cheaper than the fucking Kindle edition, which just blows my mind.
It
But
really
we
does.
won't talk about that this episode.
No. No.
But yeah, I'm using the Whisper Sync. So as far as I get in the Audible version, wherever I leave off, it automatically syncs with the Kindle version. So I don't have to, find where the hell I left off. I love it.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Yeah. So I just recently read. First, I read Horns, and then Heart Shaped Box, which is the reverse order of when they're published. But both were great books. Horns was definitely better than Heart Shaped Box. And oh god, I love that book. He just took us through this whole range of emotions. For 1 minute, I like this character and I hate that character. The next minute, it's flip flop. The next minute, I like both characters. Then I want to strangle both of them. Then then I'm crying and I'm sad because I can't believe this happened, and it's just absolutely amazing. It was a great
With
book. It was go ahead.
no, with Horns, the Horns is fantasy horror done right. It's a fantastic horror.
Oh
It's
god,
and
yeah,
not that it's he's talking about the fantastic, the guy,
yeah,
the
yeah.
dark
Not that
fantastic,
they're
whatever you want to call it. The dude wakes up one morning with devil horns, and he finds that people want to give their darkest, and it's just I'm not really spoiling anything because it's like the first
yeah,
couple chapters of the book. He finds out that people want to tell them their deepest, darkest secrets and desires, and that's hilarious to
yeah.
hear the people. I think that's the best part of the book to me. That and the ending. And I think that's what a book should be. I think any good book should start strong and end strong. I could really care about the middle,
Absolutely.
because the middle is just the filler to me. It's the happenings that happen between the beginning and the end. But you have to have a strong beginning. You have to have a strong ending. That's how I feel, anyways.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Well,
Whereas,
well, that being said, the filler was the middle was really good as well.
oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, definitely.
just a
Oh,
lot
don't get
going on, and there
right.
was no overuse of exposition or anything to really take you out of the book. It was all straight and to the point and
It was
really enjoyable.
it was all about the storyline. You didn't. Now here's where him and his father. Here's the big difference between the two. Stephen King will tell you 9 paragraphs of shit you don't need to know. You'll be reading about a character, and then that character will bump into another character, and then you learn everything about that other character. It doesn't matter if that other character is shown again throughout the entire book. You learn from
Mhm.
birth to death, or from birth to present time about that character. Joe Hill's
Yeah.
not like that. The only time that you get that from Joe Hill is when those characters are going to pop up again. It kind of
Yeah.
shows his hand just a little bit because you know, oh, if you once you start reading Joe Hill, you know I have to pay attention to this person because they're going to pop up somewhere else. Whereas Stephen King, he throws a shit ton of people at you and tells you everything about him, and most of it is, like you said, it's just exposition. He's just telling you,
Yeah.
something to be telling you something, stuff that
Exactly.
either you don't need to know or he's telling instead of showing. But yeah,
Yeah.
what do you think about Heart-Shaped Box? I know you read him in reverse order as a publication.
Yeah. Yeah. But
Dang.
I thought it was good. I didn't think it was as good as Horns. I think the character he chose is probably for me uh, the biggest thing that I didn't like about it because I couldn't really relate to him. You got this guy who's just got ridiculous amounts of money, lots of adoring fans. He has sex with these young girls whenever he wants, and I don't really care if he has something bad happen. You know
That,
what? Good.
and I think the reason why, and I could be completely wrong, Joe Hill, if you're watching this, that's awesome. But I
Yeah.
have no, I have no, I have no idea why, what goes on in his brain. But
Yeah.
I would think that that's the reason why the girl that I don't want to give any spoilers, but there's a girl that comes along with him on a journey. I
Hmm.
think that was one of the main reasons why Joe Hill put that character in there. It
I could
wasn't
see that.
really a love story or anything like that. It was more that we needed somebody to fucking relate to, because
Exactly.
Judas Coin was so he was he was the anti man. I mean, you don't really he was a rock god that's retired.
Yep.
He's just one of those characters that unless of course you're who almost said Iggy Pop, but that's not who I meant. Unless you're like Steven Tyler, you don't know what that lifestyle is like. And Joe
Exactly.
Hill doesn't go into great detail about his past. He
Hmm.
does go into the other bandmates that have died along the way or that are still alive or whatever. But he doesn't really go into the why he liked or disliked the old ways.
Hmm.
You know, he just tosses out useful information when it's useful. I guess is the best way. This reminded me of this because of this, and that's what I like. I don't like, oh well,
Yeah.
here's
Exactly.
Brenda. Here's 19 paragraphs of what she did.
Hmm.
From the beginning of her life until now. I will say that the book went on far too long. It could have ended 50 pages before it did. All
Yeah.
the stuff at the end. I think that was Joe realizing what with horns. I think he realized what people didn't want to read.
Hmm.
Um, because he ties up every single little detail down to the most minute character, and you're sitting there going,
Yeah.
the book's over. It's all over. It's been over for 50 pages. And I was
Yeah.
scared. I was worried until I picked up horns and I was like, ah ha ha, you win. This is how
Yeah.
you end. This is how
Yeah.
you end a book. What are you working on?
Other than that, I'm just working on writing, just writing my short stories every day for the contests on writing.com, and that's about it for now. Just trying to improve my craft and get better so that one day I can too confidently just publish works at random.
There you go. And that's what it all comes down to. You write and you write and you write and you write and you just
Yeah.
keep continue to write, and eventually you will find that diamond in in the coal. You got all this all
Hmm.
this all this shit sitting around.
Right.
Eventually, you're bound to come across, and that's what I do. I'm not gonna lie to you. Uh, I probably publish every other book that I write, and out of every 10 stories that I write, I might publish one. One might make a collection, or one might go out to a magazine or whatever. But I write all the time because I'm not a
Hmm.
very good writer. I know some people would disagree with me, but I am not a very good writer. Uh, if I were a good writer, then more of my work would be publishable, I think. But I love telling stories, and I tell every single story that pops into my head. I don't care if I'm in the middle of something. If that character stops talking to me, I move on to the next one. And if they don't talk, if there's not a character in sight, then I just sit down and I just start writing. Some people
Yeah.
don't understand how you can do that, um, and that's something that I cannot explain how you do. You just sit down and you start writing. I'm not talking about gibberish either, like blah, 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 blah. No, just start writing something. When that happens to me, I usually have to cut the first 2 or 3 pages because when I go back and read it, that stuff doesn't make sense. But once I get the machine rolling, once I get in the zone, then the characters are more apt to start talking to me. So
I did ask you once, what do you do when you don't have any ideas what you want to write? And that's what you told me. So what I do is I go ahead and I sit down and I start every line with the sun rose, and then I just go from there.
That's actually a pretty damn good idea. Yeah, do that or figure out.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit if it's the night was dark and stormy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, and by the way, it was a dark and stormy night is wrong. It's called a vague antecedent. It's almost like the split infinitive to boldly go. It's wrong. Even though it's been used over and over again, it's wrong. Because when you say it was a dark and stormy night, you're leaving the subject at the end. It's like it. What is it? It's a vague antecedent. But anyways, there's your writerly advice for this episode.
All right.
Linton, anything else you want to get into, buddy?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I am E. That's what you can call me. Also known as Edward Lauren. I write scary stories for a living. You can check out my stuff on at edwardlauren.wordpress.com. My Twitter handle is @edwardlauren. You can also find me on Facebook. I have an authors page and I have a friend page. Send me a friend request. Just search for Edward Lauren. I'm pretty sure I'm the only one there. And if I like the look of you, I'll add you. If not, then you can go over to my authors page, you ugly bastard. Where can they find you, Linton?
You can also find me on Facebook. Also on lintonbowers.com, where I don't post often enough, but I
He will.
post.
He will. We're going to
and I'll post
that.
more. Yeah, absolutely. And you can find me at Twitter, Lintbo, or @Lintbo. I'm still kind of getting used to the Twitter thing. So.
I'll put everything down there for you guys, way down there, down in the pants bar. Yep. All right. And that's been us. And hopefully Demented. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
Bye.